All right, everybody. I'm going to talk about how I help someone cure their cancer. Yep, that's right. Cure cancer. And I'm just going to share the story of how I did that. I was probably 22 and I was studying alternative medicines on my own. In fact, there was a guy named Kevin Trudeau who had a book called Never Get Sick Again. And that's kind of what started me on that journey of trying not to get sick again. One thing led to another, and I started to buy herbal Bibles and things of the nature. And in fact, the information that I got from that book on how not to get sick again actually worked. And I actually never did get sick again. And to this day, if I do get sick, it doesn't last more than 3 days. And it usually is because I'm eating like crap and I will contract a virus. But as soon as that happens, I go through my natural alternative medicine protocols, and within 3 days, it's gone. So, long story short, I started to take my knowledge of herbs and superfoods and superfruits and started to heal many people around me. Uh, Granted, it does make a big change to your immune system when you get off of eating crappy food. And there is a way to do that. Now, just specifically about this guy who had cancer, I was healing people kind of like a medicine man who uses herbs and whatnot. That's kind of what was going on in today's modern society at 22, which was about 14 years ago or so. Um, there wasn't really a big movement in the alternative medicine category. It was mainly just doctors, relying on doctors, and of course, being ignorant to food itself, eating crappy food, and relying on doctors is basically what it was. So, alternative medicines was actually a rather new movement, even though there was people who are already doing it. And when I got into it, it just took me by storm, and I wanted to heal everybody around me, my friends, family, people that I knew. And so I started healing people with flus. There was a fellow who had acne problems, and I healed him with that, helped him with healing that. Um, a little girl who had eczema from head to toe. She looked like a little alligator, and that's what they called her at school was alligator girl because her skin was dry and cracked from head to toe. And so I helped her heal that with her mom. And so the symptoms of diseases that were coming to me almost as if I was a medicine man because I was getting, I guess, a reputation for healing people at 22 years old. And my mind started to go into a place to where I felt like I could make a business out of it, or maybe I could find a cure for disease and maybe write a book or something. Little did I know that there is a conspiracy to suppress cures from the public, and that was something that I did not know. And so the concept of having a business that would do such a thing kind of went out the window because I met resistance. Not only did I meet resistance from the corporate world, but I met resistance from everyday people, people who are ingrained to believe that chemotherapy is the only answer for their problems. Cancer, uh, or that doctors are the only solution for their diseases. And that was the biggest wall that I faced. And I lost a lot of people who had cancer because they had that ingrained, um, I don't know what you would call it, conditioning of blind trust to authoritative figures, the pharmaceutical company, and of course, the doctor. There is a blind faith that they're going to solve your problems. And now that was way back when I was 22, so about 15 some odd years ago. But now you're starting to see a big push where people are now searching for alternatives and different ways of actually doing that. So when I found the answer to curing sickness, I started to pray. And I remember specifically that I prayed to God that I be sent somebody who was very ill because I wanted to test my abilities of healing to see if I could cure something big. I didn't expect cancer, but within a few weeks, less than that, after my prayer of God sending me someone who had a serious disease, did a woman tell me about her cousin who was dying of cancer and that he only had 30 days left to live. What's interesting here is that was completely clueless to the stages of cancer and completely clueless to cancer itself on the process of chemo or anything of the sort. So 30 days, according to the doctors, he had 30 days left of life, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But basically 30 days is what the final conclusion was on his life. Now that I'm older, I realize that someone at that stage of cancer is for sure going to die within chemotherapy. And there's not a high success rate of people who are at that point who actually live. I didn't know that, and I was very naive to that because I was on a different path where I felt like I could cure and heal anybody. So I was completely naive to that the chemo industry. So I went and bought a book of the universe. As you're seeing here, a picture of the galaxy. Now, this is a galaxy, much like the Milky Way galaxy. And in fact, where you are here is kind of where planet Earth and our solar system actually resides, sort of on the outskirts of the band of the galaxy. And the reason why I bought the book of galaxies is to show the fella who had cancer that this is where we actually live. We actually live in a place that you don't fathom on an everyday basis. Not many people go through life thinking about where they actually exist. And the reason why I showed them these pictures of the Hubble telescope, pictures of galaxies, was to let them know that this is what's actually truly going on. Not the reality that you think you're living in, but this is the true reality of what we're really doing here. Universal, floating around in space around this gigantic ball of light. And that's what it is. If that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what does. If that doesn't make you question your existence, I don't know what does. And if that doesn't give you faith in nature, I don't know what will. So that was one of the things that I showed him. And hence, planet Earth, where you are here, then we live on a planet. This is the planet that we live on. It's called planet Earth. It is a biosphere of life. It is a living organism, and it has a place within the Milky Way galaxy in those spiral arms around that giant central sun of light. And this is where we live. This is the true reality. So that means nature needs to be addressed. Nature needs to be focused on and needs to be aware of. That's what it means. So I showed him a picture of planet Earth as well. These aren't the exact pictures I showed him because this was about 15 years ago, but you kind of get the point. So this is Earth's magnetic field. Earth has a magnetic field around it. And these lines that you see are a representation of kind of what it looks like. It's a little bit more chaotic than this, but this is basically what the Earth magnetic ley lines look like that emanate from the planet itself. And you have to also understand that the galaxy also has this magnetic ley line force coming out of itself as well. Now, the planet has this surrounding it. So there is a magnetic force that we can't see with the naked eye, but it is there, and which means it is visible, but